A very good afternoon and a warm welcome to Politics and Business Television. Thank you for joining us at this time. Listeners Analysis coming to you on Politics and Business Television. The top stories, the headlines. Borno flood, 1 million persons affected, 414,000 persons displaced. 400 deported Nigerians arrive at Abuja airport from United Arab Emirates. Marketers, refiners demand total subsidy removal. Details coming up shortly. Thank you for joining us. I am Idris Amina. Now the news. Let's begin with the devastating flood incident in Borno State. It has been reported that at least 414,000 people have been displaced and another 30 killed by the devastating flood in Maiduguri, the Borno State capital, on Tuesday. National Emergency Management Agency said the flood began after the Alo Dam overflowed following heavy rains, leading to the town's worst flooding in 30 years. According to the United Nations Human Rights Refugee Council and Maiduguri Metropolitan Council residents. NEMA spokesman Manzo Ezekiel on Wednesday revealed that the death toll had hit 30 and displaced persons close to 500,000. According to NEMA, more than 23,000 households have been hit by the rapid rise of waters following the weekend rupture of the Alo Dam on the Ngada River, 20 kilometers south of Maiduguri. Reports indicate the water had receded as of Wednesday after 70% of Maiduguri was submerged by the fast-moving waters, according to NEMA, which ravaged major cities locations, including the palace of the Shehu of Borno, Umar ibn Garba el-Kanemi, the State Secretariat, Post Office, Cemetery, and the University of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital. The flood also washed away 80% of animals at the Senda Kiarimi Park Zoo and damaged houses, schools, as well as commercial and worship centers. President Bola Tinubu expressed deep concerns over the flooding and tasked relevant government agencies to expedite rescue efforts, while Vice President Kashim Shettima arrived in the Borno State capital on Tuesday to conduct an on-the-ground assessment of the devastating flood. Tinubu also called for the immediate evacuation of residents in communities overtaken by floods. And now, according to reports, 400 Nigerians have been deported from the United Arab Emirates and arrived in Nigeria. The deportees were received at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, by officials from the Office of the National Security Advisor in collaboration with the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons, the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, the National Emergency Management Agency, and other relevant stakeholders. The federal government repatriated a total of 190 Nigerians from the United Arab Emirates in July 2024. The diplomatic tension between Nigeria and the UAE has been ongoing, with the UAE imposing a visa ban on Nigerians nearly 2 years ago, stemming from various diplomatic disputes. One major issue involved Dubai's Emirates airline halting flights to Nigeria after the Central Bank of Nigeria was unable to remit an estimated $85 million in revenue to the UAE. In June, after several rounds of negotiations with UAE authorities, the Nigerian government assured its citizens that the visa ban would soon be lifted. Around the same time, it was announced that Nigeria had paid 98% of the $850 million owed, signaling progress in resolving the dispute. The recent deportation of 400 Nigerians comes amid these lingering diplomatic tensions, even as both nations have reportedly reached an agreement to lift travel restrictions on Nigerians. The United Arab Emirates government in July 2024 announced it had finally lifted visa restrictions imposed on Nigerians with immediate effects. Meanwhile, the petroleum marketers, refiners, and the poor owners in Nigeria have called for the full deregulation of the downstream oil sector, seeking to end government price controls due to subsidies. The Major Energies Market Association of Nigeria, in collaboration with the Poor and Petroleum Products Marketers Association of Nigeria, Crude Oil Refiners Association of Nigeria, African Refiners and Distributor Association, and Petroleum Products Retail Outlet Owners Association of Nigeria, disclosed this during a webinar on Wednesday. The discussion themed Optimizing the Nigerian Oil and Gas Industry brought together key stakeholders from various sectors of the oil and gas industry to discuss challenges, opportunities, and strategic initiatives for enhancing the sector's efficiency and sustainability. In a communique made available to the media on Wednesday by Memon, participants were said to have discussed the implications of recent price hikes in petroleum products and emphasized the need for full market deregulation. The stakeholders called for freedom for marketers to purchase crude oil from local and international sources and for refineries to enter into processing agreements with retail companies. The discussions also underscored the importance of transitioning towards cleaner energy sources, including compressed natural gas and liquefied petroleum gas. The stakeholders also made a proposal for the establishment of a new committee structure in the petroleum sector, inspired by the Bankers Committee in Nigeria. This structure, they said, would include a midstream and downstream industry coordination committee to focus on enhancing collaboration within the sectors, chaired by the Chief Executive of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority. You're watching news analysis live on Politics and Business Television. Still to come, student loan beneficiaries have begun to lament over delayed allowance. Details of this and more after the break. Welcome back. Now, the beneficiaries of the federal government student loan scheme across the country have lamented the delay in the payment of the August monthly stipend. Some of the students, in separate interviews with correspondents, expressed their disappointment in the payment delay. It is reported that students can choose to apply for upkeep loan apart from institutional loans, which is paid directly to institutions. A total of 20,000 from tertiary institutions were said to have been paid a sum of 20,000 naira each as July stipends. The institutions said to have benefited from the disbursement are Bayero University, Kano State, Federal University, Dusima, Katsina State, University of Ilorin, Kwara State, and that of Benin, Edo State, University of Ibadan, Oyo State, and University of Maiduguri, Borno State. Commenting on the developments, Nelfon's Director of Corporate Communications, Oseyemi Oluwatuyi, said the students would likely be paid a 20,000 naira stipends this week. Meanwhile, the National Association of Nigerian Students has called on the federal government to at least increase the monthly stipend from 20,000 naira to 40,000 naira. Meanwhile, the Presidential Amnesty Program Office on Thursday stated that no fewer than 60 students on a scholarship had made first class in different competitive disciplines between 2016 and 2023 at various partnering universities. This was disclosed in a statement by the PAP Head of Education, Dr. Charles Ariye. Ariye said that disciplines include electrical engineering, computer science, civil engineering, accounting, law, petroleum engineering, physics, international relations, and biochemistry, among others. This adulation comes on the heels of a feat by another student on the scholarship scheme, Kemian Egbekun, who graduated with a cumulative grade points average of 4.77 in law at the Michael and Cecilia Ibru University, Delta State. Two other students sponsored by the PAP at the same school, Oladapo Damilola and Toikumo Prosper, also bagged the second class upper division grade in law. The trio participated in the university's 6th convocation ceremony on September 6, 2024. Aria explained that though the scorecard for 2024 is being awaited from the various institutions, Egbekun and her colleagues have, by their academic achievement, added to the growing number of the PAP scholarship beneficiaries who scored similar excellent grades in various courses of study at partnering institutions. Meanwhile, the administrator of the President's Amnesty Program, Dr. Dennis Otuaro, has expressed delight over the sterling academic performances of students sponsored by the program. So you're watching news analysis on Politics and Business Television. Since the beginning of this administration, Nigerians have been on the edge as cost of living has extremely skyrocketed, and now coupled with the issue of floods ravaging some states in the country, destroying lives, properties, and even farm produce. How do we survive this? Join us shortly as we discuss today's topic: hunger looms as flood ravage Nigeria. Stay tuned. Nigeria looks set to face shortage of agricultural produce in coming months as severe flooding continues to ravage farmlands. The Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency had recently warned that flooding will persist till the last quarter of 2024. Nigeria has been experiencing torrential rainfall in recent weeks, in addition to the opening of the Ladgo Dam by the Cameroonian authorities, which resulted in heavy flooding that has affected more than 500,000 persons. Almost all the states of the Federation have experienced one form of flooding or another, leaving it in its wake of destruction of lives, properties, and livelihoods. Agriculture has remained the worst hit in the northeast alone. More than 150 hectares of land have been destroyed. Farmers in the region have expressed concerns over large-scale destruction of produce, saying the damage caused by the disaster could be estimated at over 30 billion naira. The flood destroyed rice, maize, sorghum, millets, beans, groundnuts, beans farms, and hundreds of livestock. They called for urgent intervention to mitigate the effects of the disaster, reduce hunger, and enhance food security. Kenechukwu Onora, an expert at Global Rights and International Human Rights Capacity Building non-governmental organization, said one major consequence of persistent flooding is the huge impact it will have on agricultural outputs. According to him, persistent flooding will make basic foodstuffs scarce and expensive if nothing is done urgently to control it. Discussing this topic with me today is Sayushwa Aliyu, our in-house economist, who will be joining us via a phone call. Good afternoon to you, Sayushwa Aliyu. So I'll begin by asking, how would you describe the flood situation in the country?
Remember, we discussed this week, last week we discussed flooding in Zaria, and we have highlighted that there will be, based on the research by meteorological agency, that there is going to be a lot of areas that are prone. So unfortunately, the one that just appeared in Maiduguri happens to get two factors. One is heavy rain, second, failure of a dam, and that has caused a lot of devastating effect, which we have highlighted earlier, that some of this rain normally will destroy the environment, destroy human habitation, destroy economic activities, destroy food, and then create uncertainties, which include hunger and starvation, because most of the reservations of food for human consumption at home,
were destroyed.
it has been flooded, destroyed. So
Yes.
you see, it's multiple, but it's an unfortunate situation, and we sympathize with those affected. But however, there is still warning from the same NAMIT that other strong rains are coming, and if they are coming, they are going to be affecting human civilization, because once you have flooding, it goes beyond human's imagination. It's only for a human being to try as much as possible to live in areas that is not so prone to the flooding.
So is there anything that has to be done to curtail this flooding? Like, can we control it? Can we stop it from happening?
Yes, we can. You see, our technology has revealed a lot of predictions, and these predictions are coming to reality. So once a warning signal is made, it is good for those who are habitating areas that are prone. You know, people, our town planning system is so poor that we allow people always try to scavenge lands that are cheaper, and they are cheaper where where they are prone to hazard. So all areas, 1 kilometer, according to NIMET, 1 kilometer from the front areas, people have to be deserting those areas. And when you take, for instance, the devastating effect of flooding in Zaria, Kaduna State, flooding in Maiduguri, you realize that most of the victims are living in prone areas. So it is important for government to come in here, because people don't have where to go. People the people are displaced from their communities, and they are taking refuge in the very cheaper areas, and this has contributed so greatly in making people to decide to live in a prone area. So,
but considering the recent flood in Maiduguri, it affected well-known areas that well built up areas like GRA. Are these people living in the prone areas too, or we couldn't just curtail the...
No, you see, flooding as a result of heavy rainfall is different from flooding from a inefficient dam or ineffective dam. What happens to Maiduguri is a catastrophe, and this catastrophe emanates as a result of failure. The volume of waters that was released from other same infrastructure. So that one is a gigantic failure. But what we are saying is that flooding, not only in urban areas, but flooding in rural areas and flooding in cosmopolitan cities, we must control. Like when you now take, for instance, some states that are in the southeast, especially around Abia and Bayelsa, people are building in water-prone areas because they are poor. They are living in shanties. So these are some of the things that we are trying to speak to government to provide an alternative. But in a situation where it becomes a catastrophe, a failure of a heavy dam, and nobody knows the exact volume of waters that was released, and then a devastating impact on the civilization.
So talking about that, how much effects do you think this will have on an already struggling economy, considering the state of the Nigerian economy, and now this destroying farmlands, destroying lives, destroying livestock?
Yeah, you see, it is so great. It cannot just be quantified, because it affects it randomly in 48 hours. It has affected all human cycle. It has destroyed school. It has destroyed health facilities. It has destroyed farmland. So, and even the food that was available, it was destroyed. So this is so enormous, and you cannot just quantify it, because up to now the same area is not without certain tension coming. So therefore, as Nema was present in Maiduguri, as Vice President was also there, even the resources to be distributed is also an additional cost which will have been used for other use. So it's devastating in general.
Okay, so as an economist, what would be your candid advice to the government in situations like this?
The candid advice is that there is need to, first of all, for dam construction. This dam failure has shown that there is a lot of structural defect in our dam construction. So government must look into the issues of maintenance so serious, and even using the right models to construct dams. That is one. Second, town planning. There is need also to give a lot of emphasis in the type of construction, the areas of construction, and also the construction of waterways, which will help in a situation of this nature to evacuate excess flood to the right channels. Not only that, also government must provide an alternative situation whereby camps can be foreseen, like the same way we preserve our food. There should be an emergency communities to be located, probably where government can sink in so much of resources to provide an alternative settlement that can take care of present need and future need. These are very important. Lastly, there is need for also government to emphasize on giving orientation to general public as regard to where to live, how to live, and how to also sustain living.
So finally, what would be your candid advice again over the proper management of dam, considering the fact that this is what caused the catastrophe in Borno State? Because there are some states that have this dam and they don't have the techniques to control it in terms of situations like this.
Yeah, once you have a dam, definitely it has water channel. It has provision for the source of the water reservoirs. So what I will advise also is to also communicate. Government to be communicating with other dam agencies that are within Nigeria and also outside Nigeria. They should be efficiently communicating with them and then efficiently coordinate the movement of water. If you take the situation in the Sahel, where you have the flow of Nile River from Egypt to Kenya and other East African states, you realize that there has been such dangers for a very long time. But because of coordination and because of government intervention and periodically, the situation is being managed. So in a situation where we check our not only dam construction locally, but we look at other dams that are constructed, which is serving as tributary to our water flows, it has to be very, very efficiently managed and efficiently communicating.
All right, thank you very much for joining us on the program today, Sayisha.
Thank you. Thank you.
And that will be the size of the program for today. We sympathize with Governor Babagana Zulum over the catastrophe in his state, and we hope to take the proper techniques of dam into use. Thank you very much for watching. I am Idris Amina. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and always come back for more trending news on politics, business, and much more. I am Idris Amina. Bye for now.